Markets have made fresh all-time highs, and IT index, well, that's flying away.
We're holding up in the green. It's still positive, a gain of close to about 0.5%. This would make it the 8th consecutive day of gains for a market.
There is some fall from the highs. Bank Nifty is in the red right now.
Things are looking okay. We're off the highs, but the market is not selling off or anything of that sort. The 18,800 plus is where we're going to end. Of course, I mean, from the day's high, it's a climb down. But I don't think anyone can complain or should complain or will complain.
Hello and welcome to CNBC-TV18. You're watching Markets Today, the show where we track about 6 hours of the day's trading action in 5 headlines. I'm Reema Tendulkar, and these are the headlines for the day. Profit booking in the last hour of trade sees the sensex and the nifty fall from record highs intraday. IT stocks lead the rally with the index gaining 2.5%. Car sales improve in November even as the two-wheeler sales see muted growth. TVS and Bajaj Auto see a drop in exports. Tractors and commercial vehicles report healthy sales numbers. Auto stocks slip on news with Eicher and Bajaj amongst the top losers. We told you first in August, and now it's official. The Finance Ministry proposes a composite license for all kinds of insurance, life, health or general. The insurance regulator recently told CNBC-TV18 that it was in favor of such a composite license. And cement stocks gain as input costs cool and pricing and demand bounces back in November. Meanwhile, metal stocks shine as metal prices rise following the dovish commentary from Fed. Easytrip Planners gains 5% after announcing it will acquire 75% stake in Nutana Aviation Capital for an undisclosed amount. Shilpa Medicare surges 8% after the company's Telangana facility receives Canada's approval. Hudson Agro zooms 7% as the board is set to consider a rights issue later this week. And here's a lineup what we have for you in store today. A power-packed show as always. In Market Opinion, Manish Sonthalia, Motilal Oswal AMC. In Corporate Voices, Bajaj Auto ED Rakesh Sharma. And there is no stopping the bulls. The Sensex and the Nifty Bank scaled to new peaks yet again to hit a record high intraday. However, some profit bookings saw the indices end off these session highs. IT stocks led the rally on Dalal Street with the index up 2.4%. But it was a bumpy ride for the auto companies. Prashant is here to take us through the day's trading action.
Well, the market did come off from the highs, but I don't think anyone can or will or should complain because things have looked so good last few sessions. We made a new all-time high, of course, before giving up gains in the second half of the day. The Nifty ending 40-50 points higher. Banks looked a little iffy, a little shaky. That's been true for the last couple of days. And today as well, the Bank Nifty ending absolutely flat. Mid-cap, small caps, much better. The mid-cap index did 0.75% gain. Small caps a little lesser. And it was really two sectors. There was IT and it was metals. IT, of course, on the back of that big move in NASDAQ, 4% gains. And metals, with the dollar selling off 1%, gains came through. PSU banks came back into rotation once again. As far as large cap Nifty stocks are concerned, so from the metals pack, names like Hindalco, Tata Steel standing out. Large cap IT names, TCS, Tech Mahindra and Wipro. And there was cement as a pack which fired as well. So Ultratech and Grasim stand out in particular. As I said, it was an IT day, so not just the large cap tech that I mentioned, but names like LTT, L&T Technology Services, which ended 8-9% higher. Birlasoft, Emphasis, Mastech, some of the larger mid-cap IT names really stood out. Other than IT, in the broader markets, gains coming through in IRFC, these rail stocks, Ircon once again higher, JSPL strong move with volumes, Timken India, Shilpa Medicare and KRBL, so as to speak. So broader markets are participating once again. Will the momentum that we've seen in US, yesterday continue? Will we see follow through? I think that becomes the next logical thing to watch out for before we get into the end of the week. And on Friday, we get the jobs data, which the Fed Chair Powell has put increasing amount of focus and reliance on in terms of what happens to policy from here.
Thank you very much. Let's get you some expert opinion now. Manish Sonthalia, head of equities PMS at Motilal Oswal Asset Management, said depreciation of the dollar would be positive for emerging markets. He added that small cap stocks and mid caps will have to go through time correction.
India has been one of the strongest economies in the world. I mean, that's a given. The positivity around this time is on the back of the dollar having peaked out. I mean, that's my assumption. And depreciation of the dollar basically is positive for emerging markets, and India is one of the shining stars in the emerging market space, and FIs who have been sellers all this while have turned buyers, and the buying is only going to accelerate, is my assumption, in going into the next China or a Korea, where valuations are much more palatable than what India has been. Will maybe gather more share, but India will get its own share, and India, for record's sake, is always been expensive when compared to other emerging markets, thanks to the asset base, which is lower, and better ROEs. The peculiar thing about small and mid caps is that you have to go through time correction. It's not that the stocks which you're holding, will continue to move up in line with the benchmark indices. That doesn't happen. So we have had a great run in the small and mid caps. It's time to play some catch up, because you can't have too much of a diversion in returns profile between the benchmark indices. I mean, that has historically not been the case. There has been some divergence, but not a very big divergence. Returns which have come in the small and mid cap space has been slightly front ended, so to speak. And typically small and mid caps would, or the broader market, so to speak, will trade at some sort of a discount to large caps. I mean, that discount has narrowed significantly over the last 1-2 years.
The second headline now: car sales have accelerated in the month of November, but two-wheelers have seen muted growth. Two-wheeler majors TVS and Bajaj Auto have also seen a drop in exports. Meanwhile, tractors and commercial vehicles have reported healthy sales numbers. Mangalam is standing by with a wrap of all the auto sales numbers.
Well, the sum and substance of this month's auto sales is that domestic has been largely in line, if not better than expectations, but exports still continue to be weak. Passenger vehicles have done well on the domestic front. The SUVs have done even better, but at the same time, exports, and there have been mixed trends coming for, commercial vehicles, both medium, heavy, as well as large commercial vehicles. So I'm looking at M&M, where the total auto sales have been at 58,300 units. This is slightly better than our poll of 57,600 units, and that's because domestic PV sales have grown by about 56%. Total three-wheeler sales also have been much better than expectations. But what was a hearty surprise was tractor sales. They were expected to be flat year on year, but domestic tractor sales have actually been 12% higher. The overall tractor sales have grown just about 10%, and that's because exports have reduced by 15%. Maruti as well, good domestic sales. The total sales have been around 1.59 lakh units. This compares with our pool of 1.68 lakh units. Out here too, the miss has been on the exports. The exports have fallen 7.7%, whereas domestic sales for Maruti have grown by about 18.8 odd percent. For TVS Motors too, the story is the same. The domestic sales have actually grown by about 2%, as far as exports have fallen by about 12%. What's done well for them, however, is the fast-growing EV business. From 699 units, it's actually crossed that 10,000 unit per month sort of mark in this time around. Tata Motors, we've seen it better than expectations. That's primarily because total domestic sales have grown by about 27%. PV sales in Tata Motors have grown by 55%, whereas commercial vehicles have declined by 10%. And that's where the mix comes by, because for Eicher Motors, the total VECV or Volvo Eicher commercial vehicle sales have grown by 20%. For them, Royal Enfield is the number that we'll be watching out for, most likely to be revealed post-markets or tomorrow morning itself. For Bajaj Auto, it's been a weak set. Total sales at 3 lakh units. The street was working with a number much higher, and that's primarily because exports fell by about 30% for them as well. Escorts Kubota did much better, 12% jump in their tractors business, and Ashok Leyland good numbers as well, 14,561 units as against street expectations of 13,600 units.
Thank you very much for that. Bajaj Auto sales have seen a near 20% decline for the month of November compared to last year. In that, the exports have seen a 30% drop on a year-on-year basis. Earlier today, we caught up with Rakesh Sharma, the executive director at Bajaj Auto, who said that November sales were impacted by the base effect. He also added that the supply chain visibility is much better now. Listen in.
Diwali moved by 10 days, and last year it was in, I think, first week of November, and this time it was in the last week of October, and you have the month end in the middle. So the decline is entirely explained by the base effect. So therefore, it's always better to look at this period as a combination of October and November. The upper half in the industry, which is the 125cc plus segment, has grown at twice that rate, which is almost about 35%, showing that the higher end customer is coming back rapidly into the consumption cycle. And in this segment, the performance of Bajaj Auto has been almost twice that of the industry. Rural markets in general have been a little bit muted. They've not come back as rapidly as the urban markets have come. But what is ubiquitous is that the entry-level segment, whether it is in urban or semi-urban or rural, the bottom has fallen out of that segment. The very entry-level 100cc segment. As we stand now, we are not seeing cost increases. So therefore, we have not really changed our pricing in the last 1 month or so. Supply chain visibility is much better now, certainly. 50% of our sales is from overseas markets. And this 50%, I would say about 60% of it is soft right now, which is really the Africa area.
Let's get to the third headline then. We told you first in August and now it's official. The Finance Ministry has proposed a composite license for all kinds of insurance, life, health or general. In fact, the insurance regulator, and we had a chat with him earlier this week, he was also in favor of such a composite license. Yash is standing by. He's been on top of this story and he joins us for the details. Yash.
Well, that's correct. So, the best way to describe these proposals which have come would be game-changing proposals for the insurance sector. The Department of Financial Services has proposed certain amendments on both IRDAI Act as well as the Insurance Act. I'll first start with the IRDAI Act. Here, what the Department of Financial Services has said is that the whole-time members at the insurance regulatory body can hold their office up to the age of 65 years. The limit here as of now is 62 years. Now, the most important amendments have come on the Insurance Act. And the first one to start with would be composite license. Department of Financial Services has said that a composite license can be issued to insurance companies. What's a composite license? It's essentially a common license through which a single entity can operate in different classes of business, that is life, general as well as standalone health insurance. And it's not just different classes of business but also subclasses, which means a life insurance company can also operate in individual segments like motor or health or so on and so forth. This will be a very important reform if it goes through for the insurance space. The second one that has come here is with respect to distribution. The Department of Financial Services said that insurers may distribute other financial products. Other financial products from the inputs that we're getting from the industry could be something like mutual funds, loans, or even insurance products of different insurance companies. This essentially will end up opening different revenue streams, business streams for insurance companies. But of course, final regulations will depend on the insurance regulator, that is IRDAI. Third one is that Department of Financial Services has recommended on removing the minimum capital which is required for any insurance company to start its business. Right now, a minimum capital of 100 crore has to be submitted for starting a life insurance business, general insurance business, or a standalone health insurance business. That has been proposed to be done away with, and the minimum capital can be decided by the regulator depending on the scale and size of the entity. We also spoke recently to the IRDAI chairman on the issue of composite license, and here's what he had to say on that one.
The headline is about, lowering of the capital so that smaller players could come, value-added services, one-time registration.
On composite?
I clearly don't remember. Probably yes.
1 month after launching a pilot project for the wholesale segment, the RBI has begun the Digital Rupee pilot for the retail segment. The testing kicks off across 4 cities with 4 banks, and more banks and locations will be included in the coming few weeks. Lata's here to tell us more. Lata?
That's right. It's a digital rupee that we are getting, a digital currency, and it is not a cryptocurrency. It's backed by the central bank. Basically, RBI has chosen 4 banks, SBI, ICICI, Yes and IDFC. And what these banks have done is they already have sent emails to select customers and merchants. Now, they're also ready with their app. These customers, if they are, want to respond to that email, will download the app, get their SIM verified, and then they will be allowed to download a digital wallet, a purse. And then they will have to link that wallet to their savings account. Once they do that, they will be able to transfer money from their savings account to this wallet. It will come in the form of e-tokens. Then they will be able to pay from that wallet to another person who is also chosen by the bank to have a wallet. They can make payment without involving the bank. They can also pay the merchants who have been selected by those banks. But for the merchants, they will have to use a QR code, which will be given to the at the merchant locations. Now, you must think of this e-rupee as cash in your purse. Okay, therefore, for one thing, it will not earn interest because you've withdrawn it from your savings account, and it will come in the same denomination, 5 rupee notes, 10 rupee notes, exactly as cash. It's going to be launched only in 4 cities, or getting launched in 4 cities, Mumbai, Bangalore, Delhi and Bhubaneswar. And in the next few weeks, 4 more banks, HDFC, Kotak, BOB and Union Bank will join this closed user group. It's a closed user group. And 9 more cities are also likely to get this. Ahmedabad, Gangtok, Guwahati, Hyderabad, Indore, Kochi, Lucknow, Patna, Shimla. All these will also be included. Now, all this is experimental. It's a pilot. So very few people are involved in the CUG. Once it becomes robust, the distribution of cash, its exchange, its recording. Once the system is robust, the pilot will be expanded to more and more people. The point is, will it become popular? If I can pay you so easily over Google Pay or using UPI, why will I want to download a wallet and look for another person who has a wallet and then pay that person? Will it become popular is the question. But if if the system is as smooth as Google Pay, as smooth as UPI, maybe people will, because it has one advantage or one difference. It is anonymous. When you pay on UPI, the banks know that this person has debited and this person has been paid. If you do it on the e-rupee, it is like paying from your purse to someone else in cash. So there is anonymity. Maybe that's a feature that can make this successful, but ultimately it will depend on the smoothness and customer interface of the technology.
Lata, thank you very much for that. Get into a break. On the other side, we'll be back in a jiffy with the other headlines. Welcome back. You're still watching Markets Today, and let's go over through the rest of the headlines that we're tracking for you. The fourth headline is cement stocks clock gains as input costs cool and pricing and demand bounces back in the month of November. Nigel is here with a wrap on the tailwinds that are helping the cement sector.
Well, cement stocks were buzzing in today's trading session. It's attributed to 3 big reasons. One is that input costs are cooling off. Domestic pet coke prices have corrected by around 6% on a month-to-month basis. That's for the month of December. Imported coal prices, well, if you look at the index rate, it's showing at around $250 per ton. But depending on from where you're importing, it's available at around $140 to around $190 per ton. That's whether it's from Australia, South Africa, or even the United States. The second factor is that October was a little bit of a subdued month. But in November, demand did bounce back a tad bit. Though in select areas, whether it's the Gujarat elections, which are affecting demand out there, or in Punjab, there is a sand availability issue, and also parts of northern India, well, they are having some construction ban out there. So those are some areas of worry in select pockets. But otherwise, on the whole, demand has looked pretty good in November. That's not all. Pricing for the third quarter so far is 2.5% better than what we have seen in the second quarter, which is good news. And also expectations are there'll be a bit of a price increase in the month of December. Put all this together, and some of the cement stocks did quite well today.
Thank you very much for that. And metals. Metal stocks were also shining today. Metal prices have risen following the dovish commentary from Fed overnight. Manisha is here with the details. Manisha?
It's been a good day, good week and a good month of November for all the metal prices. The US Fed now saying that they're not looking to hike interest rates aggressively going forward. That is what the US Fed Powell said, clearly has supported the dollar-denominated commodities. We saw the dollar decline, that was supportive. And the markets also are looking at the Chinese demand coming back into the foray, and that has been supportive as well. In any case, many of these metals had come quite strongly off from the kind of highs that we started with in 2022. So there is some more support or buying coming in because of that as well. Take a look at the copper prices, and actually all the metals gained anywhere between 2 to 4.5% overnight, and for the month of November they are up anywhere between 8 to 30% on the higher side as well. Copper, for one, has posted the best monthly gain in 2022 till time. We have seen strong gains come in for copper. If you look at zinc, that has gained by nearly 8% in the month of November. Something like a nickel is up 14%. Tin is up by 30%. Iron ore outperforming by 25% of gains for the month of November. So almost everything that comes under the category metals, whether it's ferrous or non-ferrous, has put in gains for November, with markets anticipating that if there is a Chinese demand that comes into the market, the month of December could actually see a repeat performance.
Manisha, thank you for that. And the fifth headline for the day. Easytrip Planners has planned to acquire Nutana Aviation cap for an undisclosed sum. That's the word coming in from the company's co-founder, Prashant Pitti. In a conversation with CNBC-TV18, he also added that the company is looking at doubling down on the air charter service through this acquisition. They're planning to make a lot of investments. The stock was excited, gaining close to about 6%. Listen in.
The amount is yet to be disclosed, so it will come as the time comes closer to acquire the company. But the company at Easytrip, we are doubling down on our air growth and are adding new vertical to it, which is basically charter business. Now, the air charter is something which is ever growing in demand. This is completely unorganized sector right now. Nutana will basically allow corporates to book charter on demand, which is happening over the phone right now or over email. So this in way is something by which we will be creating this market. 3 years down the line, I would see that this business should be by itself should be valued anywhere in double digits of millions of dollars.
Okay, that's Easytrip's plans when it comes to aircraft charter business. Sticking with some other stocks making headlines, Shilpa Medicare zoomed 8% after news that its Telangana facility has received Canada's health approval. Ekta is here with the details. Ekta?
Yes, Shilpa Medicare was buzzing in today's trading session. The news is that their Unit 4, which is based in Telangana, has got the go-ahead from the Canadian regulatory authorities, Health Canada. Now, why is this important is that this will basically allow them to supply commercially to the Canadian markets. They will get an entry into the Canadian market, which is basically a regulated market, something that they were not supplying to earlier. Now, separately, this is also important because Unit 4, this particular unit, in fact, has had US FDA issues. It earlier was issued a warning letter in 2020, and that got escalated to an import alert. So that means that with a regulatory nod from a country such as Canada, which is a regulated market, the street is hopeful that the remediation which is undertaken by the company would be enough for the US FDA to probably look at the plant more favorably.
Ekta, thank you for those details. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of Markets Today. Thank you for watching.